Hi, I'm Bill Swan, professor of music at Maryville College. I'm here to introduce you to my faculty recital. Because of COVID, I'm having to deliver my recital in a slightly different way this year than I normally would. So I wanted to preface the program with a few comments to put some of what you are about to hear in some context. Back in the academic year 2019-2020, I decided to do a recital in the 2020-2021 academic year. And of course, at that point, I didn't realize that COVID-19 was going to be an issue, but it is. And for a while, a brief time, I thought, well, that probably means I'm not going to do a recital. Because as primarily a jazz musician, when it comes to my public performance, I didn't really foresee a way for me to interact with other musicians to create the kind of music I'm used to creating on recitals. But then by the time August rolled around, I had decided that there might be a way to do some music. It certainly wouldn't be the interactive jazz performance that I might typically deliver on a stage, but I still thought I could do something that was valuable and musical and enjoyable. So what I decided to do was contact a couple of friends and call in some favors and write a little bit of music for basically a distanced recital. That is, a recital where we each record our parts in our own homes or studios and then put it all together. To do that, first and foremost, I needed to find people who were good musicians, but who also were very comfortable with recording their parts at home and getting a good result. And I didn't want this to be a lot of work for anybody. So I didn't want to call somebody who would have to learn how to record their parts. So the two people I called were actually two really good friends of mine. The first person I thought of was Harry Smith. Now, Harry Smith has been my best friend since really the end of high school. That's where we kind of got to know one another. Was about my senior year. And so that puts us as being friends now for more than 35 years. So for many years, I've wanted to interact musically with him more than I've been able to, because as a jazz guy, I'm mostly working live on stage with people who live in the region. And he lives in Nashville, and that's just far enough away that it's expensive and time-consuming to either bring him up here or me go down there. And with COVID, I couldn't do that. So one of the themes of this recital, and as a matter of fact, if I have to give the recital a title, I would call it Silver Linings. It's a little corny, but so one of the silver linings of the COVID era is that I was forced to rethink my collaborators. And so instead of choosing jazz musicians who were local, I could choose other musicians that might not be close by, because we were going to be doing our parts in this distanced sort of way. So the first person I thought of was Harry. He's got his own recording studio. He is a experienced guitarist. He's played with Martina McBride, Angelina Presley, Clay Walker, among others. He records every day in Nashville. He's a producer and an engineer. So very experienced musician. And so I called him up and said, hey, what do you think of this? Do you want to do it? And he was like, sure. I don't play many jazz gigs, but sure, I'll try it. And so I started writing and arranging some music for the two of us to play. I also reached out to a good friend of mine that I played quite a few gigs with up until about 2016 or so, when he moved away to pursue a doctorate. and that's Will Yeager. Will Yeager is an alum of Maryville College. He's a bass player. He just finished his doctorate, so he's Dr. Will Yeager now. And so when I reached out to him, he said the same thing. Yeah, count me in. Let's do it. So so I worked on some music, got some things together, started recording my parts, and the whole goal here was to try to make it. I didn't want to pull the wool over anyone's eyes and try to make it feel like a jazz recording, where because in as near as I define it, in jazz music, if you have more than one musician, there needs to be some spontaneous interaction. And that's really hard to do with long-distance recording. So what you're going to hear is improvisatory and teeniest bit interactive, but not in any real-time sense. But it allowed me to rethink the way I had written some tunes in the past, and also rethink the way I would write tunes now. So so that's a long preamble to what you're about to hear. The other thing I would like to say is that another silver lining here is I got to use some instruments that I don't often get to use on my live gigs, because either they're heavy or they're finicky, they're old and finicky. I got to use an old Fender Rhodes piano, and I got to use one of my old synthesizers. So again, trying to look for the silver lining here, I got to make music with two of my dear friends, and I had a lot of fun doing it. So I hope you enjoy this. The way this is going to work is I've made a playlist here on YouTube, and all of the music is in the playlist in the order that I think I would deliver it if I was going to do it live. But the beauty is that you can skip around as you like. I have included a brief introduction to each set of music, again, as if it were a live concert, just for me to give you a very quick heads up about what you're about to hear. And then if you want to skip that, that's again the beauty of YouTube. If you want to skip those intros and just listen to the music, then feel free to do that as well. So I hope you enjoy this faculty recital that I'm calling Silver Linings.